Have you noticed that they're refitting a lot of Walmart store shelves and something's missing? And it's not just Walmart, it's Target and Best Buy as well. VR2 has disappeared. Where have they gone? Let's talk about it. Hope you guys are enjoying your summer already. I know it's not officially summer yet, but man, it felt great here in southern Minnesota yesterday. Got up in the 80s and it was freaking awesome. Pre-Memorial Day thing, I made some pizza dough. I fired up the pizza oven and we sat out on the deck, had a few adult beverages and ate some homemade pizza. And you just can't get any better than spending time with friends during this time. So if you're gaming out there, make sure you're gaming with a friend, man. Have some fun playing a game that you guys all enjoy. If you haven't yet, hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet. I'm trying to get up to 500, and it is a slow trip because I've been really busy at work lately. So not a whole lot of content, not a whole lot of shorts coming out. Hopefully we'll slow down this summer and I'll get to do a little bit more, enjoy some things. But I want to talk about the PlayStation VR2. Where in the heck did it go? I was listening to Clayton Morris on his YouTube channel talk about that it was missing in a lot of store shelves, and I'm thinking to myself, no, it's not. My Walmart's got plenty of them. I was just there maybe a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, and they got plenty of VR2s there. I don't know where he's getting this from. So I decided I'm going to go over and do my shopping early at Walmart on a Saturday morning. And went over there and I checked out the games, and sure enough, they redid their whole electronics area. And when I found the PlayStation stuff, there was no PlayStation VR2s. They had a little topper on top of the cabinet where the consoles are at with a picture of the VR2. But there was no VR2 around, and there was no charging docks for the VR2s. And I'm like, what the heck? So I go back to the clearance end cap, and I see back there they had some, charging docks for the VR2 handsets back there, on the clearance area. Did Sony just sunset the VR2? Now, this system was abandoned from the get-go. There was a lot of people that were just furious that it was $599. It was $100 more than the PS5 itself. I didn't care. I didn't care whatsoever. I have been a fan of the PlayStation VR. I never had a PlayStation 4. I picked one up when I started really heavily collecting more for the game room, and I wanted to get into some PlayStation games that I couldn't get on my Xbox One, and I was a really late adopter. In fact, I had a PS4 before I had a PS3. I purchased my PS3 later when I started collecting heavily more of just everything. I didn't want to be setting up my tent in one camp. I wanted to make sure that I had my toes in the water of every gaming console that I could get. And that's just how I am. And before, I limited budget, and I was just going to stick with Xbox, and that's just how it was. So I don't like trashing one over the other, and I'm not going to go back into a console war ever and say one's better than the other one. I just love gaming. So when I picked up my first VR1, it was shortly after I picked up my PlayStation 4, and I really enjoyed it. It was a $150 marketplace buy. It was just something I enjoyed. It came with the VR Worlds demo, the Iron Man game. I think it was bundled with the Iron Man game, and then it had an Astrobot game, and that's all he had. So he gave me those games and the system. and it was complete in box, even though everything was thrown in a Walmart bag, which is a whole different story right there. But the guy was great, showed me how to hook everything up, showed me all about it, and said the only reason he was getting rid of it, his PS4 tanked, and he wasn't going to get another system till the PS5 came out. So I was like, okay, my win, I guess. So I get home, I hook it up, and I play the demo thing first, where you're diving and you got the jellyfish all over, and I am just mesmerized by how this looks. And I know it's gimmicky. I went up to the Mall of America and did their VR experience they had up there, where you walk the plank and pick up the kitten, at the end, and I've done all those little things, done the roller coaster VR experiences, and it's just very gimmicky. And I didn't want to get a smaller one from home. I think at one point in time, my daughter was very, very young. I picked up a little VR headset so you can put your iPhone into it and look and ride some roller coasters, and we did those. We had friends over and we all shared the experience of doing that, and it was just as gimmicky. You never really went back and did it again. And I was afraid the VR for the PlayStation was going to be just the same. And the first demo was really cool. It was mesmerizing. That shark went by you when you got next to the sub wreckage down there. It was like, oh crap, this is freaking cool. But it wasn't gameplay. And I put Iron Man in, and there's a lot of stuff to do on that one, and I really wasn't getting the controller aspect of it. So I wanted to get something without something I just jump in and play. So I put Astrobot in, and when I put Astrobot in and I started playing a platform game in VR, I was hooked, man. This was the freaking coolest thing that I've ever seen in my life for gaming. I'm literally in the world, standing above my little character, watching him go through all these platforms, and I'm using the regular controller to do it. Oh my goodness, this was freaking awesome. I loved the VR experience. I couldn't wait till something came out or they had another sequel to the Astrobot game. I was that freaking excited about it, and I couldn't wait to see Astrobot 2 if that ever came out. So I started buying more VR games off of Amazon, because you really couldn't find them in the stores. You would see Iron Man, you would see Gran Turismo, you would see some other games for the VR one, but you wouldn't see a whole lot of games for the VR one. But online I could find tons of games, and my collection grew, and I spent a lot of time. And not only did I play the games, it was freaking cool that I could play 3D movies in that thing. And it was cool to go into a national park, into a 3D movie, and look around at everything and look around at the nature. And Avatar was so flippin' cool. I found that in 3D. I can remember going to the theater and just being mesmerized by the 3D. The storyline, not so much. I go round and round because a lot of people do love Avatar, but to me, the story's been done. It's little big man or dances with wolves in space. That's all it is. And there's no creativity in it other than, this is the first one I'm talking about, other than that, the 3D aspect of it. The storyline's been done over and over and over again. And the whole thing that they wanted the ore, from the big blue people. They wanted that ore that was, to them, it was called unobtainium. We want the unobtainium. Are you going to obtain the unobtainium? It's like, how lazy can you be in writing? I was like, oh my gosh, but I digress. I'll get off of that thing. Get off of that tangent right there. But the VR2 was such a great experience. My collection grew and grew and grew. The 3D movie part of it was great, but I can't find any 3D movies out there. When I do find them, they're very few and far between that I find them. So when I heard the VR2 wasn't going to be able to play 3D movies, I wasn't that heartbroken, because the gaming is where it was at. You know, playing Astrobot was awesome. Playing some of the gun games, Arizona Sunshine was just a freaking hoot, man. I loved playing that. You know, Shooter on Rails is just made for VR gaming. It is so flippin' cool, and it's so immersive that I was excited for the VR2. I didn't care that this is $100 more than the system itself. I didn't care whatsoever when the first Black Friday came around and they dropped the price by $200. It went down to $399, and it stayed at $399. So it wasn't just a Black Friday. That was the new price of the VR2. Did that tick me off? No, it didn't tick me off, because I look at my collection of VR1 games and I can't wait till this collection grows for VR2. And it never did. When it came out, I bought the kayaking game. It came with Horizon, and it didn't have, you know, a case for it. So I had this reproduction case I ordered off online that I could put my disc in there. So I got Horizon, I got the kayaking game, and then the Star Wars game came out, and I got this. And I was really underwhelmed by all those games. I mean, even though Horizon was cool in 3D, it just seemed like it was more of a tech demo than anything. And I just couldn't wait for Astrobot 2 to come out. When Astrobot 2 came out in the VR, that is going to sell the units, man. I don't care that I paid $5.99 and now they're $3.99. I really, really want that unit. So I bought Tetris Effect digitally because I couldn't find a physical copy till later. And I really need to open this because I don't know if you can hear it. It's sliding around the case, and I probably just scratched it up, so it ain't going to be any good anyways. But Tetris Effect, even though I played Tetris for many decades and I love the game, how are they going to make it any different? You know, when I put the game in to play it, you know, on the original VR, it was just freaking cool. It was so immersive, and I was sold. You know, the sound, the audio they did with it, the things that are happening around you, the effects. Oh my gosh, it just made it so much better. In fact, I played it last night. I put it in and played it again because I was getting ready to do this video and I wanted to be fresh on my VR2 experience. I'm just so excited for other games to come out for this system. And even though they did port over quite a few games from the VR1, been little physical games come out for this system. And there's no hype for it. There's no, you know, you can be Iron Man in VR. There's no experiences like that to really push the system. And it just dwindled off and did nothing. And that's why I think we're seeing it disappear from the store shelves, and why they sunsetted it in private is because they really don't give a crap about VR2. And that's where I'm going to get on this physical gaming kick again. And I know I get on this quite a bit, but when this thing dies and my memory dies, or I get something corrupt in there and I lose those games, will they still be available for me to download 10 years from now, 15 years from now, or 20 years from now? I really want to buy physical games. I want to be able to put this in and play it, you know, 30 years from now, or I want to be able to hand it down to, you know, a close family friend so they can enjoy the games once I pass. But, you know, right now they're on a timer just like I am. And sooner or later it's going to be done. No, I'm healthy. Don't think anything like that. It's just, as you get older, you start thinking of these things. And when you start talking about physical games and all these digital games, you can relate that someday you're going to pass this stuff on and it's not going to be there. It's going to be an empty plastic worthless box with some media in the inside of it that can never be played again. And that just sucks. What sucks though is that Astrobot never came out on the VR2. We didn't even get to experience the first one in higher resolution. Better sound system on this one than the other one. And we didn't get to even experience that. It's like it was a failed console on Sony's part. And it's no one to blame besides themselves on it, because they didn't put their energy into making games for the system. And the pandemic, yes, that happened during this time. There was a lot of things that are going on. AI started growing. The AI started making, memory cost more, and that's what's increased in prices. But I haven't seen my MetaQuest up there on top. I haven't seen any increases for them. They've got memory in them. They've got chipsets. It's a standalone computer that isn't a headset. I haven't seen any increases on them. But I've seen increases on the Xbox. I'm going to see an increase on the Switch 2. And we're going to see increases, again on the PlayStation. The games that I can find on the VR2 are the same games that I can find on the MetaQuest. My VR2 headset's a lot better, and I'd rather play on that. Another game I was looking forward to was getting Pinball FX on VR2. And I waited, and I waited, and I waited, and I didn't have a MetaQuest at the time. I just had the VR2, and I did not want to pick up the MetaQuest, and the only reason I picked it up is because they finally announced and said we are not doing any VR experiences for the VR2 for Pinball FX. We're doing Pinball FX, but no VR will be done for the PlayStation. And I was just like, well, I guess I'm going to go out and buy a MetaQuest. And I play pinball on my MetaQuest all the time, and I enjoy it. But the specs are so much freaking better on the PlayStation 5. And I would rather play on the PlayStation 5 on the VR2 than I would the MetaQuest. And that's the only option I have for playing VR pinball is on that. And I know I can hook up a headset and I can get on, the internet and download PC games for, the VR2. But I can do that with the MetaQuest. So why would I go out and create games that I can play for the VR2 that other people are doing, developing for it, or then Sony not wanting to do anything for it? I might as well just play on my MetaQuest, even though the graphics aren't as good, the field of vision isn't as good as a VR2. I might as well play on there. So it's a sad day when I go to the store and I find out that there are no VR2s on the shelves. And I ask, people that work there, will you be getting any more? And they said, no, we already put the stuff on clearance and they're already gone. And there's a few little chargers back there, but we're pretty much done. We're not going to have any more in stock. And it's like, I don't regret buying a VR2. The only regret that I have is that I was so freaking excited for it. And I was excited for what games are going to come out for it. We never got an Astrobot. We got Astrobot Flat for the PS5. And it was a great game. It was game of the year. But boy, how much more VR2s could they have sold? Gran Turismo came out and you could play it both regular and in VR. How come they couldn't do that for the VR2? When did they really give up on it? Did they just let the inventory get down so low and then sunset it in private? That's kind of how I'm feeling right now. What are your guys' opinions on it? Did you pick up a PlayStation VR2? Did you have a good collection on your VR1? Will you be looking at the new VR for the Steam platform? What's your opinions on that? I don't want to drag this video out any longer than I already have, but I just wanted to share that this week and give you my little opinions that I have on the disappearance of Now You See Me, Now You Don't, the PlayStation VR2. Hope you guys are enjoying your Memorial Day. Have a good week at work and get some gaming in this week. Call up a friend, look up somebody online and get some gaming in. And remember, as always, game on.